Can you see that? Can you see that? Wait. It's a little too bright. I don't know if you can tell who that is. Can you tell who that is? I don't know who that is. Put down below if you know. Hey you. Do you know what kind of Hey you. Do you know what kind of bone? I'm not even pointing at a bone. I'm just pointing at the camera. Do you know what kind of bone this is? Well, how about these? You don't? Well, this is your humerus, and these are your phalanges. And if you couldn't answer my first two questions, then you may be a prehistoric troglodyte in need of a video informing you about bones. Well, lucky for you, I'm here. To start us off, bones are a solid matrix of living cells surrounded by calcium deposits. The functions of the skeletal system can be boiled down to 5 separate parts, the first of which being support. The bones try to maintain the weight of your 3-ton body. The second being protection. The bones attempt to encase the essential organs and shield from outside trauma. The third being movement. The joints provide mobility for the bones. The fourth, storage. The bones store minerals to be released into the blood. They also store fat in your yellow bone marrow, which I'm guessing you may have a significant amount of yellow bone marrow. The fifth function of the bones is manufacturing. The bones will manufacture all the red and white blood cells that your body needs to function. This includes white blood cells that fight off infection and red blood cells that will transport nutrients throughout the body, providing oxygen to all body tissue. Your skeleton does all of this for the low price of free. Next, we have different classifications of bones. Bones are classified by their shape and size, those shapes being flat, long, irregular, and sesamoid. Some flat bones are your scapula. Many parts of the skull, sternum, ribs, coxal, this contain your ilium, pubis, and ischium. The irregular bones are the vertebrae that make up your spine. Long bones include bones like the femur and humerus. And the last classification of bone is sesamoid, which contains your knee, or patella. These classifications help doctors and scientists differentiate bones. But I'm guessing all of your bones look irregular. Freak.
I am very thin, but I'm made of calcium.
For this next section, I'm going to use my imagination, or what I like to call the voices in my head. Here we have a diagram of a long bone. On the very top, you can see the epiphysis. The epiphysis is the very end of your bone and includes a spongy trabecule substance called spongy bone. This spongy bone absorbs the impact from actions so that you don't break your bones every time you jump. The next part of our diagram is the compact bone. The compact bone is what gives our bones our strength and allows them to protect us from outside forces. Inside of the very middle of the bone is the medullary cavity, containing our yellow bone marrow for adults and red bone marrow for children. Fun fact, as an adult, your red bone marrow will move up into your spongy bone. The red bone marrow is responsible for creating red blood cells, while the yellow bone marrow is responsible for holding fat. The last term is the diaphysis. This is the middle section of the bone containing everything I've just talked about. So we have our separation from epiphysis to diaphysis. Epiphysis being our ends, diaphysis being the very middle. And that is the long bone. I don't know how to transition into the next one. The appendicular skeleton is the section of your skeleton responsible for movement. Main bones in the skeleton are the clavicle, scapula, humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, tarsals, metatarsals, pelvic girdle, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, and phalanges of the feet. These are just a couple of the main bones that make up the appendicular skeleton. In total, there are 126 bones in this one section. This makes up 61.165048543% of all the bones in your body. Those of you with dyslexia out there, that's a big number. That makes this section incredibly important. Like when you're sitting on the couch and you want to grab an Kool-Aid, the appendicular system facilitates that movement and makes it possible. Strap up for this one. These joints are unhinged. The joints of the skeletal system can be categorized into 3 separate parts, the first being fibrous joints. They are immovable or slightly movable, held together by fibrous connective tissue. One example of fibrous joints are the joints that keep together the skull. The second kind of joint is cartilaginous joints. They are slightly movable, held together by cartilage, an example of which is the cartilage found in between vertebrae. And third and last is the synovial joints. They are highly movable and contain synovial fluid inside of the joint that provides frictionless movement for the bones. Here I have a lovely diagram of a synovial joint. On top you can see the bone, and below you can see the synovial membrane, which is the connective tissue that connects two bones together. In between the bones we have the capsule of the joint. The capsule is filled with synovial fluid, of which I mentioned earlier, that provides frictionless movement inside of the joint. And lastly, in between the two bones we have articular cartilage. This cartilage is made specifically for your synovial joints to ensure smooth and graceful movement. Couple that with your synovial fluid and you have a perfect door hinge. Your bones can't move on their own. They need an entire team of ligaments and tendons to connect bone to bone and muscle to bone. Both tendons and ligaments are made up of fibrous connective tissue. An example of a tendon is the muscles that hold our eye in our socket. Here I have a ligament diagram. At the very top we have the muscle, and then we have the tendon which connects that muscle to the patella bone. Then we have the ligament that will take that patella bone and it will connect it to the fibula. Remember, muscle to bone to bone. That was the tendons. The axial skeleton functions as the body's central axis. The skeletal system consists of 80 bones. Of this bone system are groups like the skull, ribs, sternum, sacrum, coccyx, manubrium, and vertebrae. The vertebral column extends from the skull to the pelvis and is separated into segments. These segments are cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccyx. Your body consists of 33 vertebrae at birth. The axial skeleton makes up for 38.834951456% of all the bones in your body. Add that to 61.165048543% of all the bones in the appendicular skeleton, and you have 100% of the bones in our body. This means that there are 206 bones total in our body. Neat. It's time for a little subsection for the axial skeleton. The skull. The skull is like a giant puzzle, except each piece is fitted together with fibrous connective tissue. And regular puzzles are made out of cardboard, not osteocytes. Despite this, our puzzle pieces include the frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal, zygomatic, sphenoid, ethmoid, nasal, lacrimal, maxilla, and mandible bones. And that was the skull. Bones are developed into 3 specialized bone cells. The first are osteocytes. These are mature bone cells that make up the majority of the bone structure. The second is osteoclasts. These cells break down bone and line the Haversian canals. The third is osteoblasts. These cells produce new bone and also line the Haversian canals. There is also a structure called canaliculi. This connects all bone cells, allowing them to receive nutrients and get rid of waste. Bones are formed in layers. The first layer is a tough connective tissue called periosteum. This is the location of muscle attachment and bone repair. Beneath this layer is the compact bone. It is a thick layer of bone that gives it strength. Compact bone is arranged in cylinders called osteons. Located in the center of these osteons is the haversian canals. The haversian canals are microscopic channels that go through the osteon that facilitate transport of blood vessels and nerve fibers, enabling the supply of nutrients and oxygen to all bone cells. These canals run parallel to the bone's long axis and are connected to Volkmann's canals. This in turn allows communication between the haversian canals and the bone's outer surface. And that was the anatomy. In child development, an embryo skeleton is primarily made of cartilage. Around the third month of development, osteoblasts begin to secrete mineral deposits that replace this cartilage. These osteoblasts will later mature into osteocytes, beginning the makeup of our bones. This process of integrating calcium and minerals into cartilage is known as ossification. As a child matures, the chondrocytes, or better known as cartilage cells, at the epiphyseal plate will divide and deteriorate, causing the area to calcify around them. The new calcified cells will then be known as osteoblasts. As osteoblasts secrete calcium to build up the bone, on the flip side, osteoclasts are secreting acid in order to enlarge the medullary cavity. This is to ensure that marrow is available to all cells, even the bad ones. Your body uses different types of hormones to move calcium around. Two important ones are calcitonin and PTH. Both of these guys originate from the thyroid and surrounding glands. PTH, or parathyroid hormone, is a hormone that activates osteoclasts in your bone to break down calcium salts to even out calcium in the blood. Calcitonin does the opposite. Instead of the hypothalamus telling the thyroid there is too little calcium in the blood, it instead tells it there is too much. Thyroid-stimulating hormone is sent to the thyroid, and this in turn causes calcitonin to be secreted. This calcitonin tells the osteoclast, hey, quit that. There's too much calcium in the blood, silly. The calcitonin then employs osteoblasts to take the excess calcium out of the blood and deposit it into bones. Then the calcium levels drop, and eventually they drop too low, and the process repeats. This kind of cycle is called a negative feedback loop, though it does bear a striking resemblance to my relationship with my wife. Just kidding. I'm alone. Well, I hope this video had you coughing with laughter. Coughing with laughter. On a real note, I want to give a shout out to my boys, Mr. Bones, Boney Stark, the Bone Ranger, Skelly McBones, Deadward Scissorhands, Sir Rattle-A-Lot, Captain Ribcage, and Bone Jovi. And please give me a good grade, please.